Speculation is rife about whether or not the president is going to be holding a briefing tonight and what exactly it is he'll announce as part of the review, as we've been made to understand, of some of the lockdown restrictions. Our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa, joins me now in studio. Sbu, do we know for a fact that the president is going to be addressing us today?
We don't know that for a fact, as we are waiting for an update from the presidency. But as we said in our headlines earlier on, there is a meeting that is currently underway that started at 3 p.m. between the Minister of Health and the leaders of the alcohol industry. And we do know for a fact that yesterday at the meeting of the Command Council, there were recommendations that were brought by the Health Ministry, and which looked at lifting the ban on alcohol, and also discussions around lifting the ban on cigarettes as well. And also as to how South Africa deals with the issue of the so-called excess deaths, which have not been able to account for, and we do expect that there might be an announcement around the fact that now going forward the strategy will involve the testing of people who die of natural causes, so as to determine whether they die of COVID-19 or not. But obviously the details of that we will hear when the president addresses the nation.
The recommendations to the National Coronavirus Command Council usually come at the beginning of the process. So this means that there still has to be feedback, and all the ministers, for lack of a better phrase, there has to be consensus. Are we likely then to hear from the president sometime today if in fact the health minister is only meeting with some of those stakeholders now?
Look, the purposes of meeting with the stakeholders is not to source their input, but rather to inform them, or to take them into confidence, so to speak, ahead of the address by the president. But also do remember that the state of national disaster has been extended until the 15th of December, 15th of August. And so in any case, the president will have to address us. It makes sense that he would address us sometime this week, if not today. Ahead of that, if there's another further extension of the state of national disaster, and also if we're migrating to a lower level, or whether we're staying at the same level, those are the details that will come out of that.
What does the speculation around what the president is likely to announce do for the affected stakeholders? Because we've had different people who, everybody says, we've had a conversation with people in the know, and this is what we're told. That may create expectations which might not be met, but it also results in a bit of a communication problem for the presidency. And I wonder if them being without Kusela Diko right now will have a bearing on how communication is filtering out of that office.
Look, I think in so far as the communication part is concerned, there's not been much that has been coming from the president lately, and I think with this current announcement, or with the pending announcement, let's see how they play with that one. I think it's still too early to say whether we'll see that impact, but obviously Kusela did have a very good relationships with members of the media, and it will be interesting also to see how the acting spokesperson plays that out. But I think in terms of the expectation, I think the expectations are quite clear. Particularly the rest of the economy has pretty much been open, save for the events, but also there's also a lot of backlash from the revenue that we're losing from the ban on alcohol, but also the ban on cigarettes. But I think more than anything, it's the pressure that the country is also feeling from international trade partners, because Europe, which is one of our biggest international trade partners, there have been concerns about the fact that there's alcohol actually brands that we import from Europe that have also been affected by this lockdown. So it's not only South African companies, it also has repercussions for also international players as well. But more than anything, I think for the government, what is comforting for them is the fact that we're starting to see that decline in the number of infections in areas. For instance, I think there was that study that was done looking at Khayelitsha, where now they've dropped significantly. But I think the overarching thing is the impact of the lockdown on communities. There is a study that was done by the South African Institute for Humanities and Social Sciences, which showed that in 5 townships, under the lockdown, 42% of the companies of households do not have an income.